What's up, guys? It's your boy, Barca Boy 103. Today we're going to be reacting to the Barcelona news over the past few days, where we have a monumental amount of reports to talk about. Firstly, summer signings. It is clear now that Barcelona are targeting two positions, the midfield and the left wing. We have options and candidates to come in as those signings, the price, the conditions, all the updates around that. But of course, with players coming in, players will have to leave the club this summer. We have updates on the future of Raphinha, Kounde, Alejandro, Balde, of course, Jong and Araujo, these players who have, renewal contracts on the table, and also could be that big sale for Barcelona in the summer. We'll talk about that. Relationship with Nike as well. We have an update on that. Injury updates on Araujo, Felix, Ferran Torres. And finally, of course, we're going to talk about the managerial position at Barcelona, with right now Hansi Flick, Thomas Tuchel, and Roberto De Zerbi being the three main frontrunners for the position. But before we get into it, make sure you guys smash that like button down below. Let's try to get to 200 likes in this video. Be very much appreciated. And also, if you're new, make sure you subscribe down below if you haven't already, and let's get into it. Now, before we get into this video is sponsored by Number One Foot. Number One Foot is one of the best replica football jersey websites on the market right now. They have a variety of different items at absolutely fantastic prices. For me here today, I'm going to show you guys the training kit from this season. This is the warm-up kit that the players use when they go out for training every single day, pre-games as well. You have here the Spotify logo. They have the club badge on it with the diamond as well. And I also have here one of the sweaters they have from last season. This was the Catalonia version. It feels like I bought this from the Nike store directly. The quality is absolutely unreal. The printing is fantastic. And of course, mainly the prices are unbeatable. And if you use the discount code BOY at checkout, you do get an additional 15% off your final order. That is BOY. Use it at checkout. You get 15% off your order, and all orders above $80 as well will guarantee you free shipping. So what are you waiting for? Click the top link in the description down below and get your new football kits today. Let's start off with the transfer news over the past few days. Now, firstly, very quickly, we're going to talk about some updates in regards to Joao Cancelo's permanent signing this summer. I know it's a bit repetitive and boring because he's currently at Barcelona, but something we have to keep in mind, of course, for this summer window. Now, the Sun Sport in the UK are reporting that Barcelona are increasingly confident that Joao Cancelo will stay at the club next year, but they may have to convince Man City to agree to another loan. This is the first time we're hearing that we might even loan Joao Cancelo again. This would be a bloody masterclass beyond belief, because you give him a second season, maybe he does kind of well, kind of doesn't, then you don't really need him anymore. Maybe Araujo has this big remontada, maybe Hector Ford turns into the next Dani Alves. That would be very, very sick, but I don't think it's true. I think Man City know that we have on our hands one of the best fullbacks in the world, both at right back and at left back, and let him go on another loan again to compensate for Barcelona's lack of funds, I think remains to be seen. Also, he's going to be cheap, 15-20 million for him, hopefully 25 max with variables and maybe bonuses included. It's still an absolutely fantastic operation, but we'll wait and see. But early reports suggest now that maybe Barcelona could be looking at another loan for not only Joao Felix, but even Joao Cancelo as well. Now, without a shadow of a doubt, one of the main priorities for Barcelona this summer will be to reinforce the midfield, both in the interior position, but more specifically in the main priority, of course, as we've been talking about on the channel now, probably since last February, I would say, the pivot position. Fernando Polo from Mundo Deportivo has come out saying that Barcelona has been exploring the pivot market, and there are three names currently on the list. First one being Amadou Onana, who is one of the favorites. I'm telling you right now, Onana's name is picking up a lot in the media and also internally at Barcelona. I see him right now as a top 3 contender, although I wouldn't prefer his move. I think on paper right now, he is definitely top 3. Only 22 years old and already established himself in the Premier League. The problem is that many English clubs with a greater financial situation than Barcelona are also interested. The fact that Everton could get relegated would, of course, help. I don't think Everton will get relegated. I think there's about 5 teams worse than them, and the only way Everton get relegated is if they get more points taken off them. Again, the price right now we're hearing for Amadou Onana is around 40 million euros. We're hearing also that Roberto Martinez, the current Portuguese manager, he used to, of course, coach Belgium, and he really liked Onana there, and he apparently told Barcelona, more specifically his friend Jordi Cruyff, about the player. So Barcelona have been well informed on him over the past few seasons. Remember, of course, Roberto Martinez, one of the contenders to come in before Xavi got the new manager, because Jordi Cruyff and him had a really good connection. So there's something with that. Next option is Dion Lopi, of course, the Almeria pivot, who we talked about, of course, on the channel before. The 22-year-old is also experienced in La Liga, but he has a release clause of 40 million euros, but his transfer would cost less since Almeria will get relegated. Although still, they haven't got relegated yet. They're going to go down, but Almeria are still asking for his release clause. I mean, he has to be under 10 million euros for me to even consider him as an option. I mean, we are Football Club Barcelona. We need someone who's in the right profile, right experience. We can't just go for someone who we just heard about during the January transfer window. For me, it makes no sense whatsoever. And again, when he says La Liga experience, I mean, he's played here for about a month. So I mean, let's tranquilo with the La Liga experience term used loosely there. And finally, Alex Garcia. Again, this is more so, of course, for the interior position. Alex Garcia is already a known name when talking about potential Barcelona pivots. The 26-year-old has a release clause of 20 million euros, but Barcelona believe that they can get him for around 14 to 15 million euros, and the transfer could be made cheaper if players such as Eric Garcia, Pablo Torre, or Oyer Romeu are included. I think Alex Garcia could well and truly be one of the early signings of the summer transfer window. As we all know, Barcelona like to at least sign maybe 1 or 2 free agents, with us including players in the operation. That basically makes it on paper for Barcelona very similar to a free agent signing. It's just offering players in return that we don't want, so there's no funds, no money being needed. Now, in regards to Alex Garcia, there have been some quotes about him. He was speaking in the media. He's asked about the interest from Barcelona, and he said, "I don't even know if they have my phone number. When you play at a good level, many clubs are obviously attracted, and the rumors start. We will see what happens at the end of the season." So again, not shutting it down, but a little bit of a jokingly remark there as well. Now, also we have some more news on Amadou Onana, with sports saying that Onana is Deco's favorite option to reinforce the defensive midfield position. Every possible litigation could facilitate his transfer, but Barcelona are not willing to pay anything more than 40 million euros for him. Thank God for that, because if you're touching 45, 50 million, again, I'll say it again for the billionth time, you're about 5 million away from Martin Zubimendi. So ain't no way in hell. Deco has prioritized the signing of a strong and athletic player in the midfield. Barcelona will sign a defensive midfielder with that profile this summer. We had a player like that last season in the squad, but we sold him immediately. So, you know, what do you take about that? Now, with the fan base, I would say very 50-50 on Onana. And again, Onana not really fitting that Barcelona pivot profile that we are looking for. I think he's kind of the best option out of the rest. There is also another option. Now, this option is just being rumored at the moment. Nothing confirmed, but I think this could be a genuine option if results and situations and performance happens from now until the end of the season. And that is bloody Andreas Christensen. I think Luis Rojo from Marca has reported that if Barcelona cannot sign a pivot in the summer, the signing could be Christensen, who will stay permanently as a pivot for Barcelona next season. The club will analyze his games following now until the end of the season. So if Christensen really convinces in the pivot from now until the end of the season, of course, he may even drop back to defense, center back, we don't know, but he played the past 3 or 4 games now in the pivot. If he continues to play there, impress, and look to be a good option, we might just bet on him permanently. And for me, that is absolutely wild. I mean, if he impresses, he impresses. I mean, fair enough, but I still think regardless, we should be signing a pivot. I think if Christensen does well, it would bring up the option of Dion Lopi, who's going to be, of course, cheap since Almeria will get relegated. He's more of a natural pivot. I think we need someone natural in that position no matter what. Of course, Christensen isn't natural. He's more so of a center back, but can play in the pivot. We need someone there who has that natural ability. Of course, you could maybe bet on Casado, Marc Bernal, whatever the case may be, if you bet on Christensen. But I think not signing a pivot this summer would be one of the dumbest moves I've seen this club do in a very long time. I've seen this club make some stupid decisions from many other presidents, and this would be up there if we don't sign a pivot this summer. You can bet on Christensen for next season, sure, but we have got to sign a pivot this summer. So we'll wait and see how things turn out. I think most likely, again, Alex Garcia in the interior is looking like a very good option. Again, coverage and competition for Pedri and Gavi, with Gavi coming back from the ACL and Pedri injury prone, let's be honest. But for the pivot, I think right now the main name is Amadou Onana. There's other names like Kimmich being thrown around, and of course Zubimendi as well, but nothing really concrete in terms of that position. Now, along with the midfield, another position that Barcelona want to reinforce this summer will be the left wing position. As we all know, we lack wingers in general, but also mainly on that left-hand side, and the club do want to reinforce that this summer. Fernando Polo from Deportivo has come out saying that Barcelona are looking for a left winger, and they really like Gabriel Martinelli, Kvaratskhelia, and Mitoma. They have now ruled out the option of Nico Williams because he didn't renew his contract until 2027. I've seen, very quickly on Nico Williams, I've seen so many people, predicted Barcelona lineups for next season. My dream signing is everyone putting Nico Williams. Thank God the club are on my page. Do you know how idiotic and stupid it would be for Barcelona to pay 50 million euros when we are broke for a player who was free a month ago? That would be, I get it, Nico Williams, brilliant player, take him at Barcelona, very good option, no doubt about that. But paying 50 million for someone who was free a month ago for me would be one of the most stupid and craziest decisions, along with not signing a pivot this summer. That is wild to me. I wouldn't even fathom Nico Williams for at least another year or so, unless I thought a club get relegated or they're in a financial crisis. They need to sell players for, a decent price. But for 50 million, Nico Williams, I think for me, not ruled out this summer for sure, and thank God the club do agree with me. Now, in the initial report as well, it is mentioned that apparently Barcelona are really like Mo Salah. They're really interested in him, but it's an impossible operation for his price. God, man, we are just a retirement home. Signing these players who are just in like the final ends of their years for 2 years and then moving them on. I mean, we did that with Lewandowski. We've done that so much in the past. I mean, with Salah, he's probably going to go to Saudi with Klopp leaving, if we're being honest, unless Liverpool don't win the league. Maybe he wants to win a trophy one more time, then call it quits. Would I take Salah at Barcelona? I mean, yes, but the price and the conditions behind the operation would not favor us whatsoever, so I wouldn't. You're probably thinking at least 80 million, 70 million to Liverpool. He's going to want at least 300, 200,000 a week. It's not worth it for a player like him. With him, of course, reaching the end, you probably get maybe one good season out of him, but it's not really worth it in my opinion. But back to the original report, Fernando Porto from Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona want to sign a left winger. If there is leverage, sales of many millions, and Barcelona return to the 1-1 rule in terms of the fair play, they will be able to buy one that they like the most, which are expensive. If not, they will look for some promising youngster. So that promising youngster might be Estavia Willian, of course, Messinho from Brazil, who I think we should be signing no matter what. But what are your thoughts on these three options? Let me know down in the comments below. Honestly, I'm not really keen on all these three options. In Martinelli, Kvaratskhelia, and Mitoma. Martinelli, last season was good. This season, he's been really, really off it. I think Martinelli is not really a pure winger. He's more so of a dynamic left midfielder, I would say. Mitoma, for me, good player. I think, again, my main issue with Mitoma is consistency and also the adaptation from the Premier League to La Liga, from a new city, new culture, things like that. I think with Gabriel Martinelli, it's a bit easier since we do have a lot of Brazilians in the squad, and Brazilians have been successful at Barcelona. Kvaratskhelia, I think he's the best option out of the three. If I had to pick one, I would pick him. He's looking all right this season, despite his output being absolutely woeful, but last season he was unbelievable. I think he was announced the best player in Serie A. I think he's the best. I think he fits the mold the best out of these three. I think Mitoma and Gabriel Martinelli, more so left midfielders who like to cut inside and create danger, and then Kvaratskhelia is a pure left winger. So I would go for him out of the three, but I don't think any of them are worth the prices that are being touted out for them. I think Martinelli, Arsenal probably want around 80 million for him, 90 million. Kvaratskhelia, maybe 70, 80 from Napoli. Mitoma from Brighton, probably 60, 70. I don't think any of these three players whatsoever are worth that price, in my opinion. But we'll wait and see. I think the most positive output is that Barcelona are looking for a left winger, which we do need. We'll wait and see what happens in the future of Ansu Fati and Joao Felix. They will definitely, comply with what Barcelona can do in the left wing. If we can't buy anyone, might bet on Ansu Fati. If we can't, if we decide to sign Joao Felix, maybe we move on Ansu Fati, then sign someone. All those complications will be, considered in the summer. But for now, Barcelona are keeping eyes open on the left winger market, as they do want to reinforce that position this summer. Now, the final position that Barcelona need to reinforce this summer is, of course, the left-back position, with Marcos Alonso expected to leave in the summer for free when his contract expires, and of course, Alejandro Balde coming off a big hamstring injury. The club do need coverage and competition for Balde, and it's been always between two options. Alex Valle, who of course is outlaw on loan from Barcelona to Levante, very, very promising left back, or Sergi Cardona, the left back for Las Palmas, who will be a free agent this summer. And according to Luis Rojo from Barca, he's the only one who's come out saying this. He said that Barcelona want Alex Valle, who is currently out on loan at Levante, to be Balde's partner at left back next season, but first he will have to negotiate a renewal for his contract, which currently ends in 2025. So according to Luis Rojo, Barcelona have chosen Alex Valle to provide coverage and competition for Balde next season. Very, very interesting decision. I don't know if Sergio Cardona is asking for a lot of money in terms of salary and sign-on bonus, since he's going to be a free agent. My only qualm about Alex Valle is, of course, the lack of experience. We've seen that, with Balde, the reason why he struggled this season because he had no competition from Alonso, because we know that Balde at 2% is better than Alonso at 100%. That was the reality. Balde knew week in, week out, no matter how well he played, how poorly he played, he was going to start. Will that be the same thing with Alex Valle? I think it will be, because again, that lack of experience. Me personally, I would have signed Cedric Cardona on a free transfer, 3 or 4 year deal. I would have loaned out Alex Valle to somewhere in the middle to lower half of La Liga, let him get the experience, see how Cedric Cardona does. If he does well, keep him, then sell Alex Valle. If Cardona doesn't do well, move him on and bring in Alex Valle. That would have been my game plan. I think giving it to Alex Valle is very, very risky with a lack of inexperience, but of course the quality is there, no doubt about that in my opinion. Definitely has that potential in the ceiling. And again, they're both free. You bring back Alex Valle, who is your player, or Sergio Cardona for free. So both operations will be free for Barcelona in terms of the actual initial movement. Of course, wages will have to be paid. So we'll wait and see how this turns out. We'll wait for further confirmation as well. But early reports suggest that Alex Valle will be the coverage and competition for Balde at left back next season. Let's now discuss the players that have been rumored to leave Barcelona over the past few days. There have been a lot of reports about exits, potential exits, clubs being interested in our players. We gotta cover it all. I'm gonna keep it all in one segment because if I break it down, this video is gonna be very, very long. So firstly, Sport have come out saying that Barcelona have received 3 offers so far for some of their big players: Araujo, De Jong, and Raphinha. The club must sell an important player this summer. Now we know the offer from Araujo is from Bayern Munich. De Jong, we don't know. Raphinha, we're hearing, is definitely a Premier League club. Which Premier League club? We have no idea. Now, the fact that we received these 3 offers, I think, is something very, very important, and it's something that the club will have to decide and what they want to do for the market. We know that Barcelona have offered Araujo and De Jong a renewal, so if they sign those renewal, they will stay, and all offers will be rejected. But for Raphinha, there is a bit of a question mark. There's even more reports suggesting that this summer Barcelona aim to generate around 100 million euros to player sales, with Raphinha and Frenkie De Jong being the main candidates. Again, De Jong is going to be a candidate if he does not renew his contract. With Raphinha, there's always been general interest in him, and I think so far this season, numbers wise, he's been alright, but we know the performances, the eye test, especially in the final third, hasn't been the greatest. I forget what game it was at home. Was it Almeria where he did this? The silent treatment to the fans and the media. Since then, he's been, what, 1 game, got injured. We haven't seen him since. So with Raphinha, there's definitely an opportunity for him to have a remontada from now until the end of the season. If he stays fit, be important for us, and of course that can be a reality. But the problem with Raphinha is that there's question marks about him in terms of his ability on the pitch, but also the interest for him is absolutely huge. Mundo Deportivo are reporting that in England, they say that several Premier League clubs are monitoring the situation of Raphinha and will try to sign him this summer. Teams like Arsenal, Tottenham, Liverpool, Newcastle, and West Ham could be interested in signing the player. That's why his future is in big question, because a lot of clubs really like him. We're hearing, of course, Saudi are there in the background as well. They know they have strong interest in Raphinha. That's why the club will have to make a decision. Not only is his performance on the pitch been about 50-50, performing well, the coach likes him, but then output numbers haven't been the greatest on paper, but the interest is strong, and also the offers on the table are strong as well. Now back to this report about Barcelona having to generate around 100 million euros. I'm not quite too sure about that. I do think the club do want to make a decent sale this summer, whether it's going to be Christensen, who's going to be, of course, as he's free, will be straight income for financial fair play margin. With De Jong, there's going to be a lot of amortization, so selling him will not really benefit us. Same with Raphinha as well, so I'm not quite too sure. Deco's come out a lot in the media saying that, look, we want to operate this summer without the ability to having to sell a big player. We want to keep all of our players and add to it, unless, of course, get rid of players that we want to all get rid of, like, Romeu and Alonso and maybe even Roberto, whatever the case may be. But again, this will have to wait and see on. Now, there is another option for someone to be that big sale, and that is, of course, Jules Kounde, who I tell you what, man, he has been absolutely stinky since coming back from his injury. I mean, I was looking at my old videos pre-injury just to see the player ratings of some of the players, how they were doing, like in August, September, and October. Kounde got nothing lower than a 9 before that injury against Granada. That, for me, is, I think, unbelievable. And since then, he's been shite. Fran Martinez from Deportivo come out saying that with the overbooking at center back position, the club assumes they could sell one, and Barcelona would prefer to sell Kounde over Araujo, who is generating interest from Bayern Munich. Meanwhile, the club is looking to renew the contract of Araujo. So, if the club had to pick who to sell between Araujo and Kounde, they would pick Kounde. Fair enough. I don't disagree there. I think Araujo is just so elite, and his pace and recovery in defense is just so unique. I think Kounde is an overall brilliant defender, pace, defending skills, on the ball as well, but he just hasn't shown it over recent months. And Roger from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that Barcelona is clear that they are forced to sell a defender. The priority is not to sell Araujo, but rather Kounde, the player who has not performed as expected since his arrival from Sevilla. That, for me, by the way, that last sentence, absolute bullshit. Kounde was in the team of the season for La Liga. last year. You're telling me that he hasn't performed since his arrival from Sevilla? This is the problem with the media. This is why Xavi's leaving, because you play one bad game. Oh, he's been shite ever since he's came. Get rid of him. Kounde, from when we signed him in June of 2022, June 2022 until what? Let's say November 2023, he has been unbelievable. November 2023 to February 2024, he's been shite. Let's be honest. But for about a year and a half, absolutely sensational. Sensational. So, in regards to that last line, Rogero, you could absolutely swivel on that. But again, if the club have made up the mind they want to sell Kounde over Araujo, for me that makes sense. But I do hope that both of them do end up staying. But keep your eyes on who can be that potential big sale this summer. Now, there are players now who Barcelona may be open to letting go if an offer arrives, and this is a big one in my opinion. It's Alejandro Balde. Fernando Polo from Mundo Deportivo has come out saying that Barcelona does not rule out the sale of Alejandro Balde if the club receives a very good offer. Tell you what, man, Fernando Polo is so reliable, but my god, he's just been waffling and flip-flopping over the past week. 1 minute Balde is untouchable, next minute we're open to offers. I think the reality is everyone but Xavi and Lamine Yamal has a price, if we're being honest. I know the club like to put out in the media Pedri untouchable, Araujo untouchable. If someone came and offered 150 million for Araujo or Pedri, I think the club would take it. I think someone comes to offer 150 million for Xavi or Lamine Yamal, the club would say no. And that's the reality of the case, whether it's you want to look at our financial situation or just, receiving a stupidly great offer that you just literally cannot refuse. Like, what happened with Rakitic back in 2019? We got offered, 90 million from PSG, and we said no. That season he was dreadful, and the next season after that he fell off a cliff, and then we gave him for free to Sevilla 2 years later. So stuff like that where you want to capitalize on that market. If someone came and offered me tomorrow 120 million for Balde, would I take it? Yes, because he is coming off a big injury. We don't know how he will return, but I wouldn't want to sell a player. I'm not going to go out there and market him saying that he's for sale. But if you get something outrageous, the club might consider it, but I wouldn't look into it too much. I think Balde has a massive future at Barcelona at left back, but hopefully he gets some competition there to give him that fire back in his belly. Now, a player that I did already mention, of course, who I think will not leave the club under any circumstances whatsoever, is, of course, Pablo Xavi. Now, Marca have come out saying that Barcelona have not received any communication from PSG regarding the interest of Xavi. Apparently, PSG, with Mbappe leaving, are ready to offer 200 million euros to Barcelona for Xavi. Of course, Luis Enrique, big fan of the player from the national team. Xavi is seen as one of the untouchable players in the squad, and he's not for sale. In fact, he's assumed that he will be the future captain of Barcelona 100%. I mean, Roberto is going to be gone in a year max. Ter Stegen will be gone in about 2 or 3 years max. And you have Araujo and Frenkie next in line. Xavi will be a captain, I think, next season when Sergio Roberto leaves. So when Ter Stegen gets promoted to first, Araujo second, Frenkie third, I think Xavi will get that spot in fourth. And again, with Xavi, we do of course have a very quick update on his renewal registration, which I don't know how a year and a half later is still a problem, as of course La Liga and Barcelona had some legal disputes. Raccoon came out saying that Barcelona and the league have reached an agreement for the registration of Xavi as a player for the first team for all purposes. The two parties have given up on the legal dispute they were maintaining. So of course they were going to court about, remember how Xavi last season was playing with number 6 and all of a sudden he had to go back to number 30 because they were having some registration legal disputes, but now apparently both sides have just dropped a lawsuit and decided, just register him and let's just move on with life. So again, with Xavi, I think under any circumstances will not be sold. If someone offered me 300 million tomorrow for Xavi, I would say no. I'm not even without a hesitation at all. He is a very unique player. But those are the updates in terms of player sales. Of course, Xavi ain't going nowhere. The big question will be around some of the players who have a questionable future, not performing well. Maybe the likes of Raphinha, Kounde, Christensen, because he just gives you straight profit for him coming for free. Frenkie de Jong, he doesn't renew. But I do expect Barcelona to make one sale, I believe, this summer of over 50 million euros. The question is, who will it be? Let's now discuss some contract renewal updates around the first team at Barcelona. Firstly, on the contract renewal of Ronald Araujo. As we all know, his agents were in Barcelona last week to discuss a renewal for the player, discussed the proposals that he's been receiving, of course, from Bayern Munich, and where he currently stands on his future desire at staying at Barcelona. Of course, his agents are the same agents as the manager, Roberto De Zerbi, as well. That's something to keep in mind, but you can see his agents were pictured in Barcelona. That meeting is already pretty much confirmed by everyone in the media. Now, following the meeting, we got reports firstly from Gente saying that that meeting was about 3 hours long between Araujo's agents and Deco, in which they discussed Araujo's renewal. His entourage assures that the player is very happy in Barcelona and he wants to stay at the club for the remaining 2.5 years of his contract. So he's happy for now, pretty much. Now, Araujo from Marca came out saying that actually during the meeting there was no negotiation whatsoever, but it was rather just declaration of intentions by the two parties. The club wants Araujo to stay, and the idea is to renew the player until 2029-2030. And apparently Araujo recently, over the past few days, actually bought Andres Iniesta's house in Barcelona, according to Candacer. So you ain't buying a house in Barcelona if you're staying long term. Although I have seen players buy a house and then get sold 2 or 3 months later. So I wouldn't say that's, basically confirmed that he's going to stay. So in the meeting, they just talked about, where we currently stand. Have you received any offers? Look, we want you to stay. That's our intention. How do you feel about your future at Barcelona? Everything there was in good harmony. That's the most important thing. So renewal is not sealed, so to speak, but definitely happening, but definitely progressing in the right direction so far. The next contract renewal update is on the contract renewal of Frenkie de Jong, where there has been so much news about over the past few days. I'm going to absolutely fly through the news and, of course, give you guys my analysis and my opinion. Now, firstly, Fernando Polo from Mundo Deportivo has come out saying that Barcelona will not accept anything less than 100 million euros for Frenkie de Jong. The club considers this a very fair price, especially when comparing him to the recent midfield transfers like Moises Caicedo going to Chelsea for around, I think, 115 million euros, and Enzo Fernandez going to Chelsea as well for 121 million euros. Now, the fact that the club are comparing Chelsea is, quite outrageous. I think 100 million for Frenkie is the best price we can get. I think you're probably looking at 80 million fixed, 20 million in variables. We did ask for 100 million for him 2 summers ago, so asking for 100 million now for me seems a bit hypocritical. I think, he's down 2 years left on his deal. He's going to be, further and further away from Barcelona. I think 80 plus 20 would be the worst offer I would take. 80 million fixed, 20 in variables. I think 100 million euro package is your goal to retain for Frenkie de Jong. Now, Fernando Polo also mentioned that Chelsea and Manchester United will be willing to pay a lot of money to sign Frenkie de Jong this summer, and Man City could be interested. Again, Frenkie de Jong is one of the best midfielders in the world. He starts for every team in the world. Man City, Chelsea, United, Bayern Munich, Juventus, PSG, Inter Milan, any team in the world, Frenkie de Jong would start in the midfield. So, of course, whoever team is going to sign him, if we do end up selling him, will, of course, pay the money for the player. Now, apparently Barcelona have already received an offer for Frenkie de Jong. Joao Cancelo came out saying that Tottenham have put on the table 60 million euro offer for Barcelona. 60 million! Oh my god, that wouldn't even pay for one of his legs. Apparently, they're proposing a 4-year contract with the performance-based incentives tied with his current salary. So the reason why Tottenham are offering a lower fee is because they're offering Frenkie de Jong his current salary at Barcelona, which is around 700,000 a week pre-tax. So they're going to offer him that same deal based on for Frenkie, based on games played, matches, variables, commercial things, all those things. And that's why, since they're offering the player so much, they've offered Barcelona 60 million. Now, has this offer been rejected or not? We have not heard anything. We just know that Tottenham have offered 60 million for Frenkie de Jong. But get that garbage out of my face. Now, Rakun have come out with a very, very comprehensive analysis on the situation of Frenkie de Jong. I think it does really open and shine a light on the situation. They've come out saying that keeping Frenkie de Jong would cost Barcelona around 77 million euros. 30 million euros still remain to pay off his signing, plus his current salary, inflated, of course, by Barto Kunt. There are 2 options for de Jong: to renew or leave with a high transfer fee. In the case of a renewal, he returned to the rational salary, which is around 15 million euros per season. In the case of selling him, it would have to be for around 100 million euros. Again, total compensation, total package. Barcelona want him to decide quickly so that it isn't left until 2025, with danger of him leaving for free. Of course, him earning all his money and then leaving for free would cost Barcelona so much money. But again, keeping Frenkie for the next 2 seasons for Barcelona will cost us 77 million. 30 million that we still have to pay off to Ajax for his transfer fee, and the rest in salary. And that's why Barcelona want to renew his contract on a lower and more fair salary as soon as possible. And Cades confirmed this, saying that Barcelona is putting pressure on Frenkie de Jong to either renew or bring an offer to sell him as his contract expires in 2026. The club is impatient due to uncertainty and with his agent in no hurry. So Barcelona are a bit scared that they have, offered him a renewal 3 weeks takes, not a peep from him or his agent. They're kind of afraid that he might be just wanting to run down his deal, earn all the money that he's owed, then leave Barcelona for free, which I don't think Frenkie would do. I think Frenkie de Jong, of course, his son was born in Barcelona. He's bought a house in Barcelona. He's the 4th captain of the team. I don't think Frenkie would leave us for free, but hopefully he gives us somewhat of communication. Marca coming on the same wavelength as Nico this, saying that Frenkie de Jong's continuation is currently unclear. Right now, everything's up in the air. De Jong feels comfortable with his family in Barcelona, but on the sporting level, he has doubts. He sees that the team is not performing well, and there are no signs of improvement next season due to FFP. Now, there's going to be signs of improvement for sure, because we're going to have a new manager, we're going to make new signings, so for Barcelona, the expectation is always to go up and up and up. So that last sentence for me doesn't make sense, but sporting level does make sense, because of course on the pitch right now, we're performing like absolute freaking wank. Now finally, Roberto from Mundo Deportivo came out saying that along with Chelsea, Manchester United, one of the main objectives for PSG in the summer will be Frenkie de Jong. Barcelona will listen to offers for around 100 million euros. Of course, if Frenkie does not want to accept the contract renewal, he was offered, and the French club was one of Barcelona's great competitors back in 2019 to acquire him. If you don't know the story, Barcelona would talk with Ajax for Frenkie. Frenkie agreed to join Barcelona. Barcelona and Ajax couldn't reach a deal. Frenkie then had some doubts about the sporting projects. PSG swooped in, agreed to deal with Ajax, agreed to deal with Frenkie, but just before he signed the deal with PSG, Bartomeu, this is by the way the only good thing Bartomeu did in his entire presidential campaign at Barcelona, flew to Amsterdam, talked to Frenkie, and he signed with Barcelona. So that's the story behind that. Look, the only positive that I can take from this now is that with Frenkie's exit reports, there's always a bit of a mention, as you can see here, if Frenkie does not accept the contract renewal, which means that the club do want Frenkie to stay, they do want him to continue, and hopefully Frenkie feels the same way as well. It's just now down to reaching an agreement for his renewal. So hopefully Frenkie comes back with that renewal offer with some positive incentives. Maybe, okay, I want to stay, I like the length, let's talk about some of the figures here and there. If Frenkie just, straight up says no to the contract renewal, that for me would worry me quite a bit. So wait and see what happens with Frenkie de Jong's renewal. Again, is on the table. We're just now waiting for a response from the player side. Let's now discuss some of the injury updates around the first team at Barcelona. Very quick updates. Firstly, on Felix and Ferran Torres coming in for having Miguel from AS. He's come out saying that Joao Felix nor Ferran Torres will be available, of course, for Wednesday's game against Napoli in the Champions League. Several scenarios were actually looked at for Felix to be able to play, including the possibility of infiltration. However, finally, the doctors have ruled out the option, and he is completely ruled out. So with Ferran Torres, he had no chance basically to make the game on Wednesday. Felix could have made it if we pump some drugs into him, some infiltration for him not to feel the pain, but it's not going to be necessary. I don't think Felix is going to make that big of a difference, so might as well just let him fully recover and heal from his injury. So they're both out for Wednesday's game. We're hoping that Felix could be back this weekend against Getafe. I think Ferran Torres will probably be back a little bit after that game, hopefully before the March international break. On Araujo, of course, did get out. Was subbed off against Celta Vigo the other weekend. We were a little bit worried, but Xavi came out after the game saying that Araujo was fine. That it was just only for a precaution. Javi Miguel also confirmed that Araujo didn't have any injury, just a precaution. He will be ready for Napoli on Wednesday. And Araujo himself came out on his social media on Twitter, Instagram, saying that look, I'll be ready for Wednesday's game. So no injury with Araujo, which of course is fantastic news. But him having some discomfort again is a bit worrying. Keep in mind he had 2 weeks off from Alaves to Celta Vigo. He didn't play against Granada, so almost 13 days, no games. Couldn't even only lasted about 45 minutes. So a bit of a worry there, in my opinion, but hopefully nothing too serious with the Uruguayo. Let's now discuss some of the news surrounding Barcelona over the past few days. Firstly, in regards to Barcelona's relationship and operations with Nike that do look on track to continue for the imminent and pretty much medium to long-term future as well. Mundo Deportivo have come out saying that in recent weeks, Nike have improved its offer to Barcelona's syrup manufacturing. Thank God for that. Although it still hasn't reached the numbers of the one that Puma offered. The third option for Barcelona is to start their own brand, of course, and they've already looked into it. Multiple factories in Asia, countries such as Bangladesh and China. The club needs to decide what they will do in early March at the latest, since Nike is starting to manufacture the shirts for the 24-25 season. Now, from my sources, not the flex, but what I've been told is that Barcelona are going to end up staying with Nike, because the reality is, firstly, starting up your own manufacturing company, yes, will make you more money in the long run, but short to medium term, you're going to have to invest so much money into it. You have to put so much work and effort into it as well. It's much easier to get another company to help you out with that in that sense, and of course pay compensation. With the relationship with Barcelona and Nike, it is healing, it is improving from what I've been told, and also that, again, contractually, Barcelona cannot leave Nike until the deal ends, I believe, in 2027. 2028. We cannot talk to any other company as well, as we will be in breach of contract and Nike can ask for more money. Again, shout out Barca for signing off on that deal. But again, the relationship between Barcelona and Nike is healing a little bit. We are hearing there's been positive talks, and again, we'll have to wait in the decision for Barcelona. I think before the international break, we'll have a good idea what the club will decide. But again, it is now the decision in the hands of Joan Laporta. But from the manufacturing kit, we do make quite a bit of money. Of course, we get paid every single season for manufacturing the kits. I think 100% we're going to get the kits manufactured for the 24-25 season by Nike. That I think is pretty much guaranteed at this point from what I've been told. The question that will be the 25-26 season as well. So I think there will be a continuation with the relationship. I don't see Barcelona moving on to Puma or starting off their own manufacturing company either. I think in the end, Barcelona will stay with Nike. And again, it will be a good way for Barcelona to make some money quickly and without, needs necessary and, putting focus on a whole entire different project. Now, with the Nike deal being in effect, the reason why, of course, Barcelona have a big marketing campaign. That's why they want to ask for more money. One of those, of course, is from the stadium. According to Mundo Deportivo, Barcelona is the team with the highest revenue per stadium and the second highest commercial revenues. Of course, this season, at the Montjuic, we ain't getting close to those numbers for the stadium. But again, Barcelona is a global brand. They make so much money. That's why they ask when they do sponsorship deals and have, companies manufacture their kits and do their operations. That's why they ask for a generous package, because they will 100% help the company turn a profit, pretty much guaranteed. So we'll wait and see what happens with the relationship with Barcelona and Nike. I think it is healing, and I think there will be a decision, of course, coming in the early March. I think Joan Laporta in the end will side with staying with Nike, probably just staying on with them, maybe negotiating over the next few months to try and get a better deal, sign a new deal, because again, our deal far behind our market value 100%. So we'll see how things turn out, but for now, the relationship between Barcelona and Nike is healing, but a decision is very imminent. In the next few weeks, we will know what Barcelona will decide in terms of their shirt manufacturer. Now, the final topic that I want to discuss before I end off this video is, of course, in regards to the search of a new manager, which is becoming a regular theme at the end of every single one of the transfer and Barcelona news roundup videos. Now, we do have a lot of updates, a lot of twists and turns since the last manager update, so we're going to get right into it. And as of recording this video as well, more twists and turns coming. Now, firstly, in regards to Luis Enrique, there are reports coming in from The Athletic suggesting that several Barcelona sources put Luis Enrique's name high amongst the list of candidates to replace Xavi should he become available. So if he's not the PSG manager at the end of the season, he will generally be a contender, which of course makes sense. But the reality is Luis Enrique will be the manager of PSG. Unless he loses Ligue 1, he will not be sacked. Yes, he might get eliminated in the Champions League, but the reality is every PSG manager has been given 2 goes at the Champions League. Unai Emery lost to Barcelona. Last season he lost, got sacked. Pochettino was given 2 chances. Even Galatasaray got 2 chances as well. So I don't see Luis Enrique getting sacked by PSG unless there's a catastrophe in the Champions League. But if he does get sacked, keep your eyes on him being an option. Now we gotta get to these other options. We talk about a lot on the channel, the 3 main options being Hansi Flick, Thomas Tuchel, and De Zerbi. Lots and twists and turns about their status as becoming the new Barcelona manager. Let's start off with Hansi Flick. It's been a bit more quiet on his side. Firstly, Padigal has come out saying that Hansi Flick has now officially appointed Fini Zahavi as his new agent. Fini Zahavi and Jorge Mendes pretty much control Barcelona on their own. Flick aims to leverage Zahavi's network and experience for a new project. He's one of the names on the list of Barcelona. Premier League clubs are also inquiring about Flick's availability as well. We're also hearing from The Athletic that Barcelona have approached Hansi Flick to know about his availability, but no offer has been made to him. After contacts between the 2 parties, there is an understanding the German manager will be very keen on taking the job. So again, Flick is interested in the role. Barcelona have told him, hey, we're keeping our eyes on you. You're definitely a contender, just to give you a heads up. So get those Spanish lessons rolling ASAP. So that's pretty much the situation with Hansi Flick. He pretty much knows at this point he's definitely a top 3, top 4 at the worst case scenario contender for the Barcelona job. But there is another German who I'm telling you, man, he is making a big remontada, and that is Thomas Tuchel. Now, a few days ago, according to Fernando Polo from Mundo Deportivo, Thomas Tuchel offered himself to Barcelona, saying that pretty much if I leave Bayern Munich at the end of the season, or if I get sacked during the season, I would be happy to be the new manager of Barcelona. Again, with Thomas Tuchel, the situation has always been the compensation to get him out of Bayern Munich. That's why Barcelona weren't too interested in him. Sport Bild came out from Germany saying that the Bayern Munich hierarchy continues to believe in Thomas Tuchel. This was just after the loss against Lazio midweek in the Champions League. They believe in the team's ability to bounce back with only 5 points behind Bayern Leverkusen in the league. They're now 8 points behind. They lost last night. They lost 3-2. And now, according to reports, Thomas Tuchel is on the verge of being sacked now, as the Bayern Munich manager. Now, the Athletic have come out saying that if there's no compensation package to be paid, and if he just leaves Bayern Munich, Thomas Tuchel will definitely be on Barcelona's shortlist to replace Xavi. So, Thomas Tuchel was always liked by the club. He was always an option. Again, him being a Bayern Munich was the problem. If he gets sacked and he's available, he becomes top 2, top 3 contenders for the job. Now, the issue is that Hansi Flick, who again keen on the Barcelona job, is right now the front runner to take over Thomas Tuchel back at Bayern Munich. So if Flick goes back to Bayern Munich, you're pretty much looking at Thomas Tuchel or no one else. Now listen, I think Thomas Tuchel is an absolutely fantastic manager, but I tell you what, his recent jobs haven't been the greatest. Sacked from Chelsea, sacked from Bayern Munich. I believe he was sacked from PSG as well. I think he chose to leave Dortmund. But yeah, Chelsea had a terrible 2 months. Should have been sacked, let's be honest, but he was sacked in the end. Now Bayern Munich, he's been asking them to sign Harry Kane for 100 million. He asked him to sign bloody Eric Dyer. Does that at Barcelona, he'll get killed, man. Bringing these dusty youths from Tottenham for spending big money, and then they come here and flop. Like, that's my question mark with Thomas Tuchel. I think the philosophy is definitely there. Maybe he needs a bit of a break. After that regroup in the summer, he might be all right. I still think he's a good option, but I don't know, man. The recent track record hasn't been quite there yet. He's now had 3 losses in a row. They lost, 3-0 to Bayern Leverkusen, 1-0 to Lazio, and 3-2, I think, Bochum, I believe the team's name, in the Bundesliga. So they got 2 goals in 3 games, 2 red cards, only 2 shots on target in 3 games. It's been absolutely terrible for Bayern Munich. So we'll wait and see how that turns out. But again, keep your eyes on Tuchel and Flick. Both their futures are linked, and they're also linked with Barcelona and Bayern Munich. If Tuchel is sacked in the next 24 to 48 hours, Hansi Flick will be the number 1 contender to replace him. If he does replace him, of course, no longer an option for Barcelona, and us, having Thomas Tuchel now being available puts him in a very, very good position. But according to reports for now, apparently the number 1 target for Barcelona is Roberto De Zerbi. Now, in the last video, I told you guys, De Zerbi impossible because Brighton have a release clause in his contract for around 20 million euros, and ain't no way in hell Barcelona are playing a dime, let alone 20 million, to sign a manager. But following that report, and that came out from Mateo Merito and other sources as well, Joao Cancelo came out saying that Araujo's agents, who of course had a meeting with Barcelona, they did mention that getting De Zerbi this summer is not impossible. I'm thinking, what do you mean not impossible? Don't twist and toy with my emotions. But then the reports start to increase. The Athletic came out saying that along with Hansi Flick, Roberto De Zerbi is also very high on Barcelona's shortlist. The Italian coach has plenty of admirers in the Barcelona board. They value his tactical approach. Of course, his Premier League experience, Serie A experience, Champions League experience, Europa League experience. Moreover, he is Pep Guardiola approved, which is a big plus on his side. However, there is a big but. De Zerbi is under contract at Brighton, and the current economic state, the compensation fee to get him out of there would be a big hinder on Barcelona, and also his name is strongly linked with the Liverpool job. So the only reason, according to reports, why De Zerbi is not the Barcelona manager right now is because of that compensation package that Brighton would need to release him as the manager. But again, the De Zerbi hype train is picking up fast. Javi Miguel from AES. Again, Javi Miguel, very much a 50-50 journalist. He either gets it right or wrong. With Xavi being the manager, I do think he has some good sources. But when Xavi is not the manager, I think he'll go down to being, a bang average journalist. But he's come out saying that De Zerbi is the chosen one to replace Xavi at Barcelona. If the club could appoint any coach, is of course realistic and feasible, they would go for De Zerbi. But the main obstacle is the exit clause of the Italian, which actually is around 10 million euros. Talk about, Alex Garcia's release clause from 20 million to 14 to 10 to 15. We've gone for De Zerbi from 30 million to 20 million to now 10. But Laporta has guaranteed Roberto De Zerbi's agents that if they manage to solve this obstacle, De Zerbi will be the one to take charge of the team from July the 1st. So Laporta has told De Zerbi's agents, according to Javi Miguel from AS, that if you basically pay this release clause by yourself or try to get Brighton to just forget about the release clause and let you go for free, you will 100% be the manager. That for me is wild. Now, Tony Juan Marti, not confirming this, but kind of, hinting about it, saying that in recent weeks, Joan Laporta has wanted to increase his knowledge about Roberto De Zerbi. Laporta wanted to know how he is as a person, how he deals with players, what his close environment is. The answer he got has been positive. The problem is his release clause of 10 million euros. As we already know, his agents, the same as Araujo, have it in Barcelona recently. So, pretty much we're leaning towards De Zerbi. And if De Zerbi did not have his release clause in his contract, he would probably be the Barcelona manager right now, for being completely honest. Now, I will say this. There's 2 things that throw me off about De Zerbi. One, what in the bloody hell? I have no idea why those blues came up. Let's continue. 2 question marks for me around De Zerbi. One, of course, being the 10 million euro release clause. If we pay even a penny to get De Zerbi, and then we go into the market, oh, we can't afford Onana because we spend the money on De Zerbi. Oh, we can't afford Alex Garcia for 12 million plus Pablo Torre because we spent that money on De Zerbi. I would sack everyone at Barcelona. Joan Laporta, Enric Masip, Boyan, Deco. That is, for me, one of the biggest catastrophes we have seen in the recent years of Barcelona. Paying money for a manager, taking it out of your transfer budget when you need player investment this summer, and also selling a player as well. Let's say we sell Frenkie. Let's say we sell Raphinha. Oh, we sold Raphinha because we need the money to get De Zerbi. That, for me, big fat no. Secondly, for me with De Zerbi, is his experience. Yes, he's experienced. He has, Champions League, Europa League, Serie A, Premier League, but not at the big level. Not at the creme de la creme. That, for me, is the problem. We've seen a lot of managers, Valverde, Setien, good philosophy, good Barcelona DNA, but when the going gets tough in the locker room with big heads, big players, things don't turn out the best. That, for me, is my only qualm with De Zerbi. I think he's a great manager. I think his philosophy is very strong, of course. My issue for me is, of course, the compensation package and his experience at the highest level. We'll wait and see, man. I'm very, very intrigued. I would say right now, the front runners is De Zerbi, Tuchel / Flick. Because if Tuchel gets sacked, then Flick is going to Bayern, and then Tuchel is going to be Tuchel or De Zerbi. But De Zerbi is in very, very good position. I think he would definitely take the Barcelona job over the Liverpool job. I think, that's just no question about that. Again, it is the compensation that is the issue. Maybe De Zerbi pays it out of his own pocket to Brighton. Maybe tells Brighton, hey, look, I've been a good servant to you. I've not caused any problems. Let me go for free. Whatever the case may be. I just hope that Barcelona pay nothing for him. It is not worth it whatsoever, especially with the squad needing investment. Well, wait and see. I'm very, very intrigued what happens. I think right now, definitely, of course, top 3 frontrunners for the job are De Zerbi, Hansi Flick, and Thomas Tuchel. We're now pretty much reaching a month since Xavi announced his full resignation from Barcelona. We have a good, strong idea of who the top candidates will be, and we'll wait and see who the club decide on. So that was my reaction to the Barcelona news over the past few days. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to leave a like, and of course, leave me your thoughts down below in the comments on everything we discussed. But the main thing I want to see, of course, is your thoughts on the summer signings and the left wing and midfield. Who would you go for? Who would you prioritize? What would be the fees you will be spending on these players as well? Second, your thoughts on the renewal of Araujo and De Jong. I think both players will put pen and paper on a brand new deal at Barcelona and commit their long-term futures to the club. Third, your thoughts on that big sale. Who would you have to sell if you need the funds? Would it be Kounde, Raphinha, maybe Frenkie, maybe Christensen? Who would be that player for you? And finally, your thoughts, of course, on the managerial situation. What are your thoughts on De Zerbi and Tuchel / Flick being the top runners for the Barcelona position in the summer? And of course, make sure you guys subscribe down below if you haven't already. And I will see you guys next time on the channel. Take care and Forza Barca.
Yeah.